Okay, so all white, micro ATX, I think it's gonna look super clean, especially with this new AIO. But you know what? Let's just put it all together and then we'll talk about it after.
Panic on the brain, world has gone insane. Things are starting to get heavy. I can't help but think I haven't felt this way since I asked you to go steady. Wondering, would you be my little quarantine, or is this the way it ends? 'Cause I told you my level of concern, but you walk by like you never heard. You could bring down my level of concern. Just need you to tell me we're alright, tell me we're okay. Panic on the brain, Michael's gone insane. Julie starts to make me nervous. I don't really care what they would say. I'm asking you to stay, my bunker underneath the surface. Wondering, would you be my little quarantine, or is this the way it ends? 'Cause I told you my level of concern, but you walk by like you never heard. And you could bring down my level of concern. Just need you to tell me we're alright, tell me we're okay. Yeah, tell me we're alright, tell me we're okay. Yeah, tell me we're alright, tell me we're okay. Bring down my level of concern. Just need you to tell me we're alright, tell me we're okay. Yeah. 'Cause I told you my level of concern, but you walk by like you never heard. And you could bring down my level of concern. Just need you to tell me we're alright, tell me we're okay. Yeah, tell me we're alright, tell me we're okay. Yeah, tell me we're alright, tell me we're okay. You could bring down my level of concern. Just need you to tell me we're alright, tell me we're okay. Yeah. In a world where you could just lie to me, and I'd be okay. We'll be okay. We're gonna be okay. Tell me we're okay. I need you.
So if you want to see a step-by-step on how exactly to build in the A3, I did a video a few months ago that will actually kind of walk you through that. Now that one is air-cooled, so there's a little bit of difference there. I went obviously liquid-cooled here, and man, the fit with this 360 millimeter radiator was a very, very close call. It is just pushing up right against the VRM heatsink on the top of the motherboard. I actually had to take out one of the pushpin clips just to buy myself like an extra millimeter or two so it could fit. So very close call there, but it did end up working out. Now the one I'm using here is from Lee. It's called the HydroShift 360R, and it's got a surprisingly clear LCD screen that has a bunch of different presets for themes to view whatever images and info that you want. Along with that, it does come with the 3 RGB fans pre-installed, which is really nice to make a quicker setup. But I think the really cool thing here is that the tubes are actually made to run alongside of the radiator instead of coming straight down like your typical radiator. Now, there wasn't quite enough room in this case to have them route directly above the CPU because, you know, this is a pretty compact setup here, but it still looks super clean because you don't have those tubes draping from one side to the other side of the case. And with everything all pre-installed and kind of ready to go out of the box, with the exception of, you know, how tight of a fit, probably the most straightforward and easy AIO setup I've ever done. You don't have to screw in any fans or deal with those hubs or dealing with a bunch of wires, none of that garbage. I truly wish that every AIO setup was this simple and straightforward. Now, this is also pretty overkill for the i5 13600K that I'm using with it. But the nice thing about that is that it doesn't have to work very hard to keep it cool. So I can actually keep it on the quiet preset. And I kind of discovered that after running Cinebench R23. So originally I was using the standard fan profile. And because it was averaging out at only 68 degrees Celsius, I figured that I could probably just drop it down to the quiet mode for all of the in-game tests. And of course, that silver and white color matches perfectly with the Gigabyte board I have here. So this is actually the Gigabyte Z790 Aorus Ice Edition. So even though on this channel, I'm pretty biased towards ITX, Micro ATX is definitely a more cost-effective form factor. Boards are typically less expensive, and they also typically come with more features. This one has 3 M.2 slots, although only one actually has a heatsink. It's got Wi-Fi 6E, plenty of USB on the back, plenty of system fan and USB headers across the bottom, which were needed in this build. And of course, the white and silver color scheme was basically the foundation of the entire build here. So not only was the AIO a tight fit, but I thought I really messed up whenever I side mounted the power supply unit. And not because the fan is on the inside, I actually decided to do that for aesthetic purposes. When you mount a power supply to the front, the optimal way is for the fan to face the inside because the front panel is not vented. And when you put it on the side like I have here, you could orient the fan towards the outside of the case to take in the fresh air, but then you're stuck looking at the ugly label on the bottom. So because this case has plenty of airflow, especially from the help of the intake fans, I decided to put the fan on the inside, and as a bonus, there's also more room behind the unit to hide some of the cables. Anyway, the reason I thought I made a mistake was because look at how close this GPU is. I mean, it's not touching, but barely has a millimeter to spare. I honestly thought that it was not going to fit without moving the power supply, but I definitely lucked out here. If you're looking to upgrade your PC and want to sell used, or if you want to sell some parts from your existing PC to offset the cost of your new parts, then check out this video's sponsor, JAWA.gg. JAWA is the marketplace for gaming PCs. Now on their website, you can buy used components, so things like GPUs and CPUs, or peripherals like controllers, mice, keyboards, things like that. This is a really good way to get the best value out of your build, especially if you're on a tighter budget. Now there are a few ways that you can save even more here. First, you can get $10 off just by using my code DJ10, and follow the link in the description. And if you're upgrading from an existing gaming PC, you can take your existing GPU and sell it on JAWA's site. Now the fastest and simplest way is to get an instant offer to sell it directly to JAWA. You just need to fill out the model and condition of your card, and JAWA will give you an instant offer. Then you ship it to them, and most sellers get paid within a single business day. Or you can list it yourself if you want full control over the pricing. Now if you don't have the time or you just don't feel like building a PC yourself, you can also buy complete systems on their site. Or if you are up for it, but you just need a little bit of support to troubleshoot your build and get feedback on your part selection, then you can join their over 10,000 member Discord. So if you're wanting to save some money on your next build, definitely go and check out JAWA.gg. Now this is an Asus Dual 4070 Super. It's a very cool looking design in my opinion, and one of the few options available in white. It also has some silver accents, which again matches everything else. And as the name implies, it has 2 large fans to keep it cool, but it also is a slightly larger card than, the Founders Edition would be. It's 2.5 slots and 260 millimeters in length. Now, with that comes a factory overclock that boosts up to 2550 megahertz and a dual BIOS so that you can prioritize performance or lower noise levels, which goes really well with the secondary goal that it's hoping to accomplish here, which is to make an overall quiet system. Now, all the tests that I'm going to be showing will be using the performance BIOS, but quiet mode is a nice option to have nonetheless. Now this card is definitely best paired with a 1440p monitor. You're going to get well over 60 frames in almost any demanding title available today. And that's without the use of any upscalers or frame generation features. 4K in the more demanding games is going to struggle to hit 60 frames without the use of features like DLSS and the like. But I don't see this as a big deal if you are wanting to hook this up to a 4K TV or a monitor. It seems like the majority of popular big releases right now are offering those features anyways. So take Star Wars Outlaws as an example. This just came out this week, and I have it here at the high preset in 4K using DLSS, but with frame generation off. And I'm getting around 55 to 60 frames per second in the open world and a little bit more than that in the marketplace. Then if you want to include frame generation, then you can go upwards of 80, even to 100 frames. Now frame gen does come at a cost of latency, but in a story-based game like this, I think it can be a worthwhile trade-off, especially because this game in particular does have NVIDIA Reflex as well, which lowers the latency. Now turning DLSS off and we get a pretty noticeable hit in frame rate, and as far as image quality goes though, they look, honestly nearly identical to me. And so really all I'm trying to say here is that even though I wouldn't consider this a 4K card, if you wanted to hook this up to your 4K monitor or TV, you could have a pretty good experience as long as the game has these features and you utilize them. Now, again, like I keep saying, this is a 1440p card, and so naturally you can expect very good performance there. So switching monitors, and here's Black Myth Wukong, a very demanding game that just released last week. You can expect 80 frames per second with DLSS on and around 60 frames with it off. Now, overall, a very enjoyable experience in a very demanding game. Now, so jumping back into Star Wars, just so that we can round out our 1440p numbers, I'm getting around 60 to 70 frames in the open world without using DLSS. So updating that setting to quality, and we're getting a nice bump up to 80 to 90 frames per second. Now, there's very few cases at this compact size that can fit a micro ATX motherboard and a 360mm AIO. Now, the case itself is only $80. The build quality of the frame and the side panels is very good. I do feel like the front panel is uncharacteristically cheap compared to the rest of the case, and with the vertical line design they went with, I can't help but to feel like they could have made it ventilated as well, but at this price point and what's delivered, it's hard to really complain. Like, there are so many ways to make a compact budget build in this case. Micro ATX boards are already less expensive than ITX. This case can support an ATX power supply, which are typically less expensive than SFX. There's plenty of room for a big air cooler instead of going liquid cool, which can definitely save you money there. The list goes on. And so if you want to see a build where I prioritize price to performance, then check out my previous A3 video. That one is a little less produced and more step-by-step than this video is. Or if you want to, you can also check out a tiny 6-liter 4070 Ti build I did last week. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.